And now, TSPN News with Tom Slivick. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at TSPNTV.com. Hi everyone, Tom Slivick, and welcome to TSPN's News for today. And once again, I have our District Attorney, Todd Riebe.
How's it going, Tom?
Nice to be joined by you today, Todd. And of course, you're our District Attorney here in Amador County, but you are the co-chair of the California District Attorney's Lifer Committee.
Right.
And of course, that refers to the realignment, AB 109.
Well, they're tied in. Basically, lifers are those who have been given a sentence of life with the possibility of parole. And so typically 80% of your lifers, which comprise about a quarter of the inmates in our state prison, are there for murder, and the remaining 20% are either rapists or they're kidnappers in terms of what their commitment offense was. Okay,
so you're probably sitting on that committee in regards to AB 109 and what's going on. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
And it's had a dramatic impact upon, I think, the lifer population.
Okay, we're going to go over, why don't we just quickly go over AB 109 and what it means, where it is, then we'll take our first break, then we'll come back and talk about the part two, or the new the three-judge decisions.
Okay. Well, very briefly, just viewers have been keeping up with this, they've heard this before, but for those who haven't, there were two lawsuits, the Plata lawsuit and the Coleman lawsuit. The Plata lawsuit addressed the what they claimed was deficient medical care in the California state prison system. The Coleman lawsuit addressed what they claimed was deficient mental health care within the California prison system. The three-judge panel, which is comprised of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in California, determined that the plaintiffs had a point. There was deficient, it means it's unconstitutional medical care and mental health care, and the result of it was prison overcrowding. So the three-judge panel told California, thou shalt get down to 137.5% of your design capacity by a date that was the end of December, and if you can't do it, though, of course, we'll do it for you, is the way it went down. California went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to gain relief from the three-judge panel edict, and was denied. As a result of that denial, AB 109, also referred to as realignment, was born. And AB 109 was the governor's response to the three-judge panel edict, an attempt to, I think the hope was that it would actually get down to that 137.5% of capacity without the need to make any further revisions. Unfortunately, the inmate population continued to rise beyond that which they wanted it to, even though more than 20, almost 30,000 inmates have been released to date. Not been released, but they've reduced the population by that much through realignment. Right. And basically realignment transferred, it reclassified 300 felonies and said that if you commit these felonies and you're sentenced on those, you don't spend the time in state prison, you'll spend the time in local prison, which in effect is our county jails. And so it transferred the responsibility for housing these inmates and monitoring these inmates on parole to the counties. Okay. And they gave money to the counties on a pro rata basis to deal with that population. That's realignment in a nutshell. It continues to be a work in progress because, as I said, the state is not where they need to be, so they are continuing to adjust the inmate population through programs that will lead to a reduction in the number of inmates.
Okay, and we've got new programs, or more, and we're going to find out what that is when we come back from our break. Once again, I'm with District Attorney Todd Riebe here in Amador County. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Tom Slivick with District Attorney Todd Riebe. Todd, we gave an update, brought us to here to the three-judge panel that was it was pretty recent, I think about a month ago.
Right.
Why don't you, you've had time to look at that, tell us what's happening with that? And from your point of view, and also from, the insider from the co-chair of the California District Attorney's Lifer Committee.
Okay.
If you could.
I'd be glad to, because what's happening right now is it's concerning, and I think that, but it's difficult to understand. So hopefully I can make it simple for the viewers to pick up. California, in papers, briefs before the three-judge panel, made a pitch to be relieved from the deadline at the end of December of this year, and they were asking for an extension, a 2-year extension to meet the cap, the prison cap population that had been imposed upon them. If you were a betting man, I didn't think that the court would grant the extension. They did. But they also capped the number of inmates that California can send out of state to prisons in other states that have room to 8,900, because I think the court knew, as a practical matter, that if they did not grant the extension, California was going to ship the remaining inmates to get down to the 137.5% of design capacity out of state, and the court didn't want that.
Okay. What was the reason for the courts not wanting that?
Well, the inmate groups were upset that their families, they were deprived of their support network. Their families couldn't maybe travel out of state to go visit them in other states. Actually, a lot of the pushback on that policy came from the California Correctional Peace Officers Association, because if you're transferring these inmates out of state, that means they're not the ones that are being hired to guard them. It's guards in other states, so it diluted their power base. But also, interestingly enough, inmates, particularly prison gangs, because frequently the folks that are being transferred out of state have gang ties, and their power base is being diluted to the extent that they're being spread across the United States to other institutions.
Okay, so it looked like that was one of the main reasons for the extension?
That was one of the reasons why I think the court wanted to cap the number of inmates that the state can send out to 8,900.
Okay.
And so, but it went much further than that. It expressed support for California's ideas, proposals as to how they could lead to further inmate reductions. And it focused, this is where it gets back to the lifer population. It focused on the lifer population. And one of the programs that will be created is an elder parole program. If you're 60 years of age or older, and you've received a life sentence, and you served at least 25 years of that sentence, they're going to accelerate your parole eligibility hearing. Even if you're not eligible for it, they're going to accelerate it and determine whether or not you should be granted a date, whether or not you should be released. That's going to undoubtedly lead to an increase in
So in a way, that's
lifers'
giving
release.
you an opportunity for parole that you didn't have before.
Correct. Second, and this is where I think there's going to be a lot of inmates that are going to fall in this category, they've expanded their medical parole program. Medical parole is basically it's a rubber stamp for a doctor's opinion that you have an ailment, could be cancer, could be liver disease, whatever, because of your disease, because of your medical condition, you need to be released for treatment. Basically, all the parole board gets, and all the prosecutor and even defense attorney gets, is a brief paragraph that says that you suffer from cancer. It doesn't say anything about what kind of treatment you need. It doesn't say anything about what your life expectancy is, whether or not you can receive that treatment inside. And the reason why is because of the federal law protecting medical records from disclosure, HIPAA. You've probably heard of HIPAA before. Because of HIPAA, it's a shot in the dark. The only person who holds all the cards is the doctor. If you're going to expand that program, what are you expanding it to?
Do they have at least at a minimum of second or third opinions for?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well,
So
it seems ripe for abuse.
Exactly, and that's the fear that I think a lot of victim rights groups have. That's the fear that the people in law enforcement have. Is if you're going to expand it, what are the criteria? And we can't even meaningfully participate in that hearing because we don't have the information because of it's being kept from us because of HIPAA. I think that there needs to be legislation that grants a waiver, a limited waiver. So if you're claiming that because, let's just say, for example, you have cancer and that you need to be released because of your condition, we should be able to get the medical documentation that supports your position, so we can have a meaningful inquiry as to whether or not it's the right thing to do and whether or not it's going to jeopardize public safety.
I guess I would think that HIPAA could go to the correction, department or whatever, because they're responsible for those people. So in a way, those are wards of a criminal justice system.
Right.
So almost like they're fathers and mothers.
Yeah. The other thing is that they're reviewing independently. The Board of Parole Hearings is reviewing independently all inmates that received a 3-year denial of parole. Under Marcy's law, your parole could be granted or denied for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or 15 years. More than 60% of all the denials are 3 years. So they're going to review all of those 3-year denials, and if there's new information or a change in circumstances, they have the ability to accelerate that parole hearing before the 3 years and most likely release. So that is probably going to cause the greatest release of lifers of any of the proposals thus far.
Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and see if we can make that a little clearer, because it comes out pretty fast,
Yeah.
with words in it. So stay with us, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.